Hello and welcome to the Bucket Bros. I am your host, Ronnie. It is Tuesday, April, what is it, 29th? Yep, April 29th. Dr. Bobby is off this episode, so you're stuck with this guy. But I will do my best to kind of jump around. There's been a lot of NBA stuff, and we just couldn't get timing right, but we had to get an episode out to you guys. So I'm here in my backyard. Hopefully, I don't get knocked unconscious by the crazy wind, but here we are. So I hope everybody's been enjoying the basketball that we've been watching over the last couple of weeks. It has been compelling. Granted, there has been some blowouts, so it's been kind of what you usually get in the first round of the playoffs. But I think it's been having gone through this whole year, watching as much basketball I have. It's kind of reached this point where every game has been intense and it's been so much fun to watch. So I hope you guys have been enjoying it. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into some fast break news. So I've got a few topics. I kind of bullet points I wanted to shoot out at everybody just because over the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of stuff going on. And so I wanted to kind of highlight some of the key points that we've kind of seen over this first round of the playoffs. One of the big ones, obviously the Thunder have already rolled through. SGA, though, he's the current reigning NBA scoring champ. And in their blowout win, I believe that was in game one when they scored had a 53-point win. That was SGA's lowest point total of the season with 15 points. And yet the Thunder still shot over 50% and still blew out the team. So that just shows you that team is more than just their superstar. And so it's going to be obviously, we're going to see what kind of tests they get in the next round, either by the Nuggets or the Clippers. So that should be a fun one. One of the other topics was the Warriors. So here they are as the 7th seed, and they have been punching above their weight class. And they upset Houston, and now they're up 3-1. So it's curious to see what happens as we go forward. Yeah, the veteran Warriors team is definitely one to look out for. The Indiana Pacers. They, in game 4, shot an incredible 60% of the field against Miami, taking a 3-1 lead. But to me, it's Halliburton. He's been having 12 assists per game. It's been crazy. So the Pacers are a very fun team to watch. I think we mentioned it last time. Make sure you give them a chance, and you're going to see some more of them coming up in the next few rounds. The Cavs, man, there's not much to say. We're going to get into that in a minute. The Cavs look really good. Just like we mentioned with the Thunder, they're a complete team. And so right now it's fun to sit there and think about what could possibly happen if I was a non-biased basketball fan, and was seeing the Thunder and the Cavs in the finals. I think would be an epic showdown. Obviously, I have my loyalties, so I'm going to be rooting. My rooting interest is for the Timberwolves, but my basketball brain would love to see that matchup. Jalen Brunson has been playing out of his mind. The Timberwolves, I mentioned this last time, hit a franchise record, 21 threes in their game 1 win, and obviously had a very cold game 2. But yeah. One of the big storylines over this past weekend in the Lakers lost to the Timberwolves in game 4 was the fact that JJ Redick played his 5 second-half starters the entire game. And that includes a 40-year-old LeBron playing 46 minutes and a not completely in-shape Luka as well. I think he had 45 minutes as well. So JJ Redick has turned into Tom Thibodeau magically, at least in that last game. So we'll see what happens. It is Tuesday, so tomorrow night in the game 5. Grizzlies, again, going back to this Thunder blowout, scored 77 points in the first half of game 3, tying the most points in the playoff half. It was a great effort. I think that was probably the closest game that they had. It just was not enough. And the Lakers stars, Luka Doncic and LeBron James, combined for 65 points in game 4 and yet still lost. And it's kind of the storyline because there really wasn't anything else. The Nuggets' game 4 comeback is definitely the highlight. Jokic's great pass, bad shot, and managed to get Aaron Gordon with a 0.2 1-second dunk to win the game. I've never seen that before, and it's funny that Jokic was like, "Oh yeah, I've seen this before about 6-7 years ago in a European league." The guy is an unbelievable basketball mind, and we still don't give him enough credit. So yeah, those are some quick topics. We're gonna jump into all these series. But yeah, that was some fast break news. All right, let's start out east because there's a lot of action out west. East has been good, just not as compelling, I think, as the West, but yet there's been some good stuff going on. Let's start with the number 1 seed, the Cavs. And like I mentioned, they completely they swept the Heat 4-0. The 2 games in Miami were an absolute embarrassment for the Heat. They couldn't score over 88 points in either game. Got blown out by 30 in both and just looked pathetic. And one of the things I just saw as I was coming down here to record was, and it's something to start thinking about, is this time for Mickey Arison to release Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra? It's been a great run. I think they've had 2 titles, maybe 3. Oh yeah, with LeBron the 3. So as somebody said, this was a great run, but every run is going to come to an end. And it certainly kind of felt like that. They kind of snuck into the playoffs as a 10 seed and got in and kind of winning those games hot. But yeah, it looks like it needs to be torn down and rebuilt in Miami because if you're sitting there with Tyler Hero and Andrew Wiggins, aside from Bam, as like those are your cornerstone pieces, it just doesn't look appealing to anybody else. Obviously, Jimmy left in a big huff. So, yeah, Miami is one to watch this offseason, see what exactly is going to go on behind the scenes. But yeah, definitely a lot of questions down on South Beach. As far as the Cavs, they basically, that last game, my goodness, it was, when I turned it on in the second quarter, it was a 45-point lead. So the Heat just didn't show up. I don't know if that's on the players, on the coaches, whatever. But it's the fact that you show up for, I felt bad for the fans. It's like you're sitting there and you got the PA announcer trying to hype everybody up. Like, you're down by 45. Like, just turn the music off and just let them play basketball. It was just ridiculous. So, but yeah, the Cavs, like I mentioned before, look legit. Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, Darius Garland. This team is stacked, and even if you go down the line with the other, like Max Strus and Ty Jerome, like they have guys who can score throughout, and they play good team basketball. So we'll see what happens next round. They're either going to face the Pacers or the Bucks. Excuse me. So yeah, keep an eye out east. That's the number 1 seed Cavs. Let's hit the number 2 Celtics. They play tonight, game 5. The Celtics have a 3-1 lead and a potential closeout at home. The Magic did sneak away and get a win in game 3. Paolo has been leading the team with 32 points, but it's just not enough. Franz Wagner hasn't really, aside from those 2, they really don't have any offensive capability. And so it's really hard to keep up with this team, especially like we mentioned before, with the Magic not being a very great 3-point shooting team. And yet, even with the Celtics not shooting as well as they usually do in this series, they're still leading the 3-point shooting percentage. Boston is at 36% and the Magic are at 29%. So it's inevitable. This team is so good. There was questions about Jason Tatum playing in the last game, but he was there. I think he had 37 points, so obviously no questions there. He's doing fine. But yeah, it's going to, like I mentioned, I think I picked this matchup as the Eastern Conference Final. And obviously this team's going to have some work to do in the offseason as far as the Magic of being able to compete with a Boston. Obviously they're the defending champs. They've been there before. They kind of know what to expect. And obviously with a great coach like Joe Mazzulla, and you've got a superstar player like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and then you got so many great role players. Derek White, obviously he was an Olympian for good reason. This guy is an absolute all-around player. And I don't want to say he's the best player in the Celtics, but I think he's the most versatile player. He can he can lead the team in scoring. He can lock down defenders. He's just an absolutely great basketball player. And if I was a huge Celtics fan, I would get me a Derek White jersey. Now let's move to the most exciting series in the East. It is the Knicks Pistons. Even though the Knicks are up 3-1, I don't think that they should be. Obviously, the NBA referees came back and made an assessment on Josh Hart's foul on Tim Hardaway, which they did not call on that last second three in game 4, which would have sent him to the line to possibly win the game with barely any time left. But when you're looking at comparisons, and the one thing I have to give credit for, Karl Anthony Towns, you hit some unbelievable shot. That fadeaway from behind the backboard was ridiculous. And then to follow it up the next possession with that deep three to kind of just finish them was he's such a great fit there. And the fact that he's been shooting so well, at least in this series, and kind of leading this, I wouldn't say leading the team because Brunson obviously is. He's at 33 points. And that was the one thing I was going to mention was the comparison between Brunson and Cade Cunningham. Obviously, this is Cunningham's first time in the playoffs, and it's a great test, kind of get a taste for everything that's going on. But obviously right now he's well behind Brunson. Where does this go? He's averaging. Brunson's averaging 33 points versus Cade's 25. And obviously both teams have a lot of other players, but when you look at the Knicks, you also have Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, Bridges, Hart. So you have other guys that can score, and obviously the Pistons do too, with Beasley being one of the 3-point stars this year, and you got Tobias Harris. There's just a little bit more on that side, and I think this was nothing. That the Knicks will obviously probably go on and win this. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pistons manage to steal maybe one more, just because these games have been so close. But I just think the Knicks have too much firepower, and it's probably going to be over soon, and they will most likely move on. But yeah, that series has been a fun one to watch. The other one, like we mentioned before, the Pacers and the Bucks. Now, this one looks to be over, just because if you hadn't seen it, it was probably one of the things I should have mentioned in the fast break news was Damian Lillard tearing his Achilles. So that obviously taking out one of your star players is going to cause an issue. And you could see the team in the last game, I think it was game 4, as soon as he went down in that first quarter, that they just dropped. Like you could tell, okay. And Giannis tried to dominate the game, but this thing, if Kyle Kuzma is supposed to be your number 2 scorer or Bobby Portis, that's not going to work. You're not going to win in the playoffs. So losing Dame for the rest of the series, I think it is doom and gloom. Pacers went up 3-1. Like I said, they're such a fun team to watch. Halliburton's averaging, I think it's like 12.2 assists a game, and just kind of controlling the offense. Nemhard, Turner. There's so many good guys on this team with the Pacers that you haven't heard of. Like, they are not household names, and you will maybe hear them if they make a run. But it's like they made a run last year, and we really don't know much about them this year if you're just a casual fan. But if you are a casual fan, make sure you watch them, just because they are a up and down team. Like I said, if Halliburton's got the ball, he's going to find somebody, get around. He looks to pass and get people open, which just creates shots. And Milwaukee's defense just gets collapsed, and it doesn't look good. So most likely, and I believe they play tonight. I know there's 3 closeout games as well as the Denver Clipper game tonight. So we'll see what happens, but I don't see them even getting another win in this series. To me, I think they are done and toasted. Woo, I don't want to blow away. So that is the East, and we're kind of going through this. And to me, as the East kind of folds out, so we're looking right now. It's going to most likely be Cavs, Pacers, Knicks, Celtics, which are all going to be great series. It gets me excited for the next round, but we still got to get through this first round. But yeah, the Eastern Conference, I think it's going to be a lot more compelling in that next round, just because those matchups are probably going to shape up a lot better than just kind of the way they've shooken out now, with only having one semi-competitive series, and even that one's not. But yeah, let's go from the Eastern Conference and let's move out west. So, as I mentioned, Oklahoma City swept the Grizzlies 4-0, had a historic blowout win in game one to kind of set the tone and just never let up. John Morant got injured, I believe, in game two, and then made the ridiculous statement that if he was still playing, they'd be tied 2-2 because he figured them out. Sure, you did, Ja. Like, just like every other team has figured them out and gotten their butts kicked. So, to me, the Grizzlies are a really good team, a really young team. So we're going to see more of them in the future. And like I mentioned before, their setup and the way I kind of visualize them, they feel a lot like Oklahoma City, maybe a year or two behind. But yeah, it's to me they have a lot of good pieces. Let's maybe not fire your coach right before the playoffs. And same with Denver because they're struggling right now too. But yeah, so the Thunder, they're rolling. They're a great team. So many guys on that team that can do stuff. Jeez, I told you. What the hell happened here? Jesus. How the hell was that happening? All right. Well, we'll be bright for the Western Conference. I'm keeping all of this in for all of you. Maybe not for the audio audience. Yeah, this has been nuts. So trying to get this done all by myself. But yeah, Thunder, sweep. They move on. Will face either the Clippers or the Nuggets, who, like I mentioned before, are in a battle. This is by far probably the one that's most likely going to go 7. It's already tied 2-2. Denver just sneaks away and barely gets it to survive and not go down 3-1 on that Aaron Gordon buzzer beater dunk. The stuff that I keep seeing, whether it's on social media or stuff, is kind of the way Joker's intelligence is what I'm seeing a lot of. Whether it's him doing substitutions, him putting Christian Brown in certain places just because he knows what the other team is going to do. So, and then to me, probably the reason why this series is so compelling is it's Joker's intelligence versus Kawhi. And to me, there is no other playoff star that I would want to have on my team than maybe Kawhi in the playoffs because his win percentage is pretty good when he's there. And obviously, you got James Harden, Norman Powell. This team, the Clippers are a feisty team. And one of the things that I don't think anybody is talking about is stadium win share. And it's one of those things. It was a big talked about subject of all the different things, the wall, and would it make a difference as far as whether it's free throw percentages or just shooting? And it has. It is. I will have to cite it, but the Clippers stadium has the lowest opponent free throw percentage by like 9%. It's ridiculous. And the same goes with the field goal percentage for the opposing teams when they come in there. So obviously, this is something that teams are going to start seeing, and it's like a drastic difference as far as compared to the other stadiums that are around. So this was obviously Steve Ballmer's idea that if he can get anything to help that's not just on the court to help your team win, this is it. So whether it's technology, whatever it might be, it is working. There is statistical proof that it's working. But yeah, and this series goes back to LA tonight for game 5. And so it goes back to Denver. I apologize. Tonight. And so we will see what kind of happens with that. And it's funny because teams, I think, have won a home and away game for each team. So this is, like I said, it's a compelling series. We will see what happens as we go forward. I think I picked the Clippers in 6, which is still in play. I'm not that confident in it though, but we will see. Next is the Houston Golden State series. Uh, Houston, obviously, a very young team, and right now we're seeing, especially they're down 3-1. The Warriors won last night. They snuck one out and just managed to get it. It was a back and forth affair through the third and fourth quarter. I don't think either team got more than a 5-point lead. Or they just kept managing to get back, and there was just a game of runs. And I think one of the questions going into that game was if Jimmy was going to play. And he did. He had a pretty solid game. I think he ended up hitting the final couple free throws at the end of the game for the Warriors. And so, yeah, now it was a game 5, so they're going to head back to Houston. I believe it's going to be Friday night for their game 5 to close out the Rockets. But this is a team, there's been, especially with the Bucks kind of going on this decline, there's been so much chatter about where Giannis could possibly go. Did he trade him to the Knicks and pair him up with Karl-Anthony Towns? Did he trade him to the Rockets and he goes down there? Do you trade him to LA? So there's been a lot of speculation. And to me, like Bobby has mentioned before, Houston just, if they had Giannis, oh my goodness, like him and Sengun down low, that is a dominant pair. And so I'm excited to see what happens with that, just because you got Dame out most likely all of next year. And from what I saw, they have very limited capital room for free agency. Everybody pretty much on the roster, all the guys that are playing are all free agents, and their draft capital is minimum. So does Giannis want to stay there for, and granted, they were the 5 seed, so that's the thing I was thinking about too, but they did have a very rough beginning of the season. So to me, they're one of the biggest question marks as far as what are they going to do. And to make it even bigger question mark, the fact that they released Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma, who's done pretty much nothing in this playoffs, gives you kind of wonder of what is this front office trying to do? And to me, I think they should look to rebuild rather than try to waste Giannis's last few years. Let him have a chance to go do whatever he wants to do. But yeah, to me, that's an interesting situation as far as that goes. But with Houston, they just, when the most popular player on the team is the one that most of the country hates or just can't stand, whether it's Dylan Brooks. But they've got a lot of talented guys on that team. I think they'll probably get a chance. I would not be surprised if they can push this series to 6 or 7. But we'll see. I think, obviously, the Warriors have been there before, now with Jimmy. So they're going to be looking to finish this team. And so we'll see what happens. It's going to be a fun game. And I believe that game is, like I said, I think it's on Friday. Which leads me to the final pairing. I already know all this stuff. Timberwolves, Lakers. As I sit here with a big giant grin, I know that it's not finished yet. The job is not done. I want to be cocky and super confident, but you can't count out LeBron and Luka. To me, and granted, it's just them. Because like I mentioned earlier, the way JJ played that game, they were obviously desperate. And they have no counter to Minnesota's bench at all. And granted, Chris Finch is playing, like, I want to say 8.5 guys. Obviously, our top 8, it's not a bench. There are 8 starters on that team. Nikolai Alexander Walker, Naz Reid, Dante, all starters somewhere else. So there's no drop off, I feel, when you take either Conley, McDaniels, Gobert out of the game, and you put any one of those guys in, still starting lineup. So obviously, JJ tried to counter that by playing his starters the whole second half. And you can't do that. And I think it was Kendrick Perkins actually made a point of, to me, it was so dumb. And I get it. It makes sense. Why would you not rest your guys, Luke, or at least one of them, when you're up 10 in the third or the fourth? And you let them out there, and they were gassed. Like, LeBron had 2 shots, I think, in the fourth quarter, no points, and just was irrelevant. And I think one of the big things, the takeaways that everybody at the end of the game when LeBron fouled Anthony Edwards, and they all of a sudden you get this brand new camera angle. But I was screaming at the TV the entire time. I was so mad at the commentators because like you guys watch basketball for a living and you couldn't see a tomahawk chop down, and you're just saying, "Oh yeah, it just went off Anthony Edwards." And then all of a sudden they show this different view, like, "Oh yeah, he hit his arm." Like I could see it clearly playing live, and obviously they're on court, so they might have people in the way and ref or whatever. But it was aggravating for the fact of like anytime you see somebody do a tomahawk chop, that's a foul. Like it doesn't matter if he just missed his wrist and it was on the arm, and that, especially the separate team, it's been like it was not a tap, it was a chop, and so regardless, it was a close game. I think Minnesota was still up, but I'm not scared of the Lakers. I shouldn't say that. Me personally, I would be scared. The Timberwolves are showing that they're not scared of them. For me, the highlight of that game was watching Ant get up in his chest on LeBron, pushing him. To me, that's what you want to see. You want to see this physicality, the fact that they're not going to back down, that they are going to make sure that you know that they are there and not going away and going to be a pest. And I love that. And granted, of the guys that play basketball with me, even though I didn't have a shot, when I played defense, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a pest and get under your skin so that you weren't playing the game that you thought you were going to when you came into the arena. We have game 5 tomorrow night in LA. It is going to be a electric atmosphere, I believe, in the Crypto.com arena. And I think the Timberwolves are going to be able to rise up, and my hope is that they get the win. I know I've been sending all my friends, all my T-Wolves and 5 stuff.
Oh, hey, Shannon Sharp. I don't care if you got Luca, Puka, or the whole city of Paducah. T-Wolves and 5.
I don't care if you got LeBron James, 8x10 frames, or the River Thames. It don't matter if you got Austin Reeves, a black girl's weave, or New Year's Eve. T-Wolves and 5.
And I hope Shannon Sharp saw the one I sent him too. So I know that they're going to, in my head, of course, as soon as I start saying a bunch of T-Wolves and 5, they're going to lose that game and it's going to end up going to 6 or 7. So to me, I'm very aware of whatever superstitious or jinxes that might happen. But as I always tell everybody, whether it's football, baseball, whatever sport that you're into, if your team is relevant through the year and everything's exciting, that is a win of a season. And this is exceeded as far. Like I wasn't sure after the trade, and especially kind of the Timberwolves trying to get their footing going at the beginning of the season. And I guess I thought that their ceiling was 6. It was impressive to see them at the end of the season have a chance at like 3 seed. Because yeah, they're a game behind the Lakers, so there was definitely a shot. But the one thing that I love seeing, that as I'm scrolling social media, I kind of stop and pause over, are all of these Anthony Edwards edits. I can't get enough of them. And to me, the thing that makes it so impressive that is the opponents that he's been taking down. Obviously, losing to Luka in the Western Conference Final, but you swept KD and the Suns. You took out Jokic in 7 games. And right now, you've got LeBron and Luka on the brink, and you have a chance to take out Steph in the next round. So, to me, this is how Ant solidifies himself as the face of the NBA. Obviously, a lot of people think it's going to be Victor Wembanyama just because of his ability and his size and just what he's able to do. But I think people love the dunks. They love the 3-point shots. They love the moxie. And just the fact that this kid is not afraid of anybody. And so I think he's winning over the nation. And it's one of those, it's so fun to watch all of this in real time. And especially since we've been watching, me and Bobby have been watching this since the Olympics. And it's just been this steady trend of him going up and up. And for me as a Timberwolves fan, it's been super exciting. Well, with all of that being said, I want to give you the lineup for tonight and kind of give you what is ahead. So today is Tuesday, April 29th, and we have at 5 p.m. today the Bucks and Pacers, followed by the Pistons and Knicks, Magic, Celtics, and Clippers, Nuggets. All of these are a game 5. Tomorrow night, Timberwolves, Lakers at 9 p.m., Warriors, Rockets at 6:30. Both are closeout games possible for the Wolves and the Warriors. So I was wrong. So that game is tomorrow night, Wednesday, not Friday. And it looks like the only one that is for sure on Thursday is the Nuggets Clippers game 6. So that is what is coming over the next couple of days. We would love to hear your guys' feedback as far as who you guys like, stuff that you want to hear or see from us, or just in general complaints, questions, whatever it might be. Make sure you guys go check us out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. YouTube is obviously the spot that we put everything out, and then we're trying to get better at everything else. So make sure you go subscribe, follow, click the notification bell, do all the fun stuff that all the kids say. But yeah, I got to go feed these dogs and get back to work. I hope you guys have a great Tuesday and enjoy some basketball tonight. Until next time, this has been the Bucket Bros.